everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be filming a Q&A video with all of your Disney questions. I did a Q&A over on my other channel, Victoria in Detail, and a lot of you guys asked Disney questions over there, and I've just asked again on Instagram and got a ton more, so I'm going to do as many as I possibly can. It may end up being a two-part video because sometimes these do go a little bit long with so many questions, so I'm going to get right into it. The first question is, one thing you wish Disney wasn't changing right now? Oh my goodness, there are quite a few changes at Disney right now. Of course, there's annual passes and that kind of change. There's all the Genie Plus and Fast Pass changes, Magical Express. Probably the thing I wish they weren't changing, and this isn't something that's kind of happened yet, but it's about to. Happily Ever After will be making way for the 50th anniversary fireworks show, which is great because I expected them to have something different. But once that's over, Happily Ever After will be going away, and I really, really wish it wasn't. I don't think it's been going for long enough. Wishes obviously went for years and years and years, and I wish Happily Ever After was going to get more time because I love it. So that's actually the thing I wish they weren't changing probably the most. Next question is, would you do the Disney cruise in Orlando? So I guess you mean where you break up a Disney trip by doing a cruise kind of in the middle or at the beginning or at the end, and you can get transportation from Disney World to the port to go on those cruises. Yes, 100%. Now that I've done the UK staycation cruise, which was my first experience of cruising with Disney, and that was on the Disney Magic, I will put a card up for those vlogs and link it in the description if you haven't seen them yet. I absolutely loved it, so yes, I definitely would. What's the first thing you'll do when you get back to Walt Disney World? Probably kiss the ground because I'll be so shocked that I'm actually there. No, I'm joking. The first thing that I'll do, like on my first day when I get to the parks, is definitely get myself a coffee and just take in the fact that I am back in the Magic Kingdom. I will sit there, stare at the castle, just try and kind of process the fact that I'm actually back there, because it seems so crazy at this point to imagine being back there because I've been kind of shut out of going for such a long time. So yeah, that's the first thing I'll do. Very closely followed by the TTA and Haunted Mansion, definitely. Next question is, planning a once-in-a-lifetime trip to Disney, how many days would you suggest for each park? Ideally, I would always suggest 2 days in each park. Some of the parks you could probably do in a day if you were short on time. The bigger parks obviously take a long time to walk around. It depends whether you're trying to get around the whole thing. I would definitely do 2 days in the Magic Kingdom because there are so many attractions there. Epcot's, I personally would do 2 days there because it is very big and there's a lot to see there. Hollywood Studios and Animal Kingdom, I could potentially just do 1 day in each of those parks if I was short on time. And for Universal, again, I could probably do 1 day in each park, but always ideally I would say 2 if you're going on like a big once-in-a-lifetime trip. Which park would you go to first if safe with no restrictions? Magic Kingdom, 100%. That is going to be the first park I go to without any doubt. Best time to go to Walt Disney World, best resort to stay at. So the best time I think is always in September, probably like the 2nd, 3rd week of September. It's usually one of the quieter times, which I like. The weather is usually still pretty nice. You do get rain, but you always get rain in Florida. Best resort to stay at, it really depends on your budget and things like that, because Disney resorts really do vary in price quite a bit. Some of the deluxe resorts are very, very expensive. I really love Pop Century. The reason I usually answer with that is because it's a value resort, but it does have the Skyliner access, which can get you to Hollywood Studios and Epcot, which I just think is a huge plus. Staying at a resort with Skyliner access, but it is a value, so you obviously don't pay as much as you would for some of the kind of more deluxe resorts. This is a really good question. Do you feel you've handled not going to Disney for 2 years better than you thought? The second half of it, yes. The beginning part of it, no. So the first year was, and particularly the first 6 months of the pandemic and not being able to travel, that was the worst. I was constantly feeling really upset every single time a trip got cancelled or moved, and everything was just so crazy in general back then as well. So I don't feel like I handled that very well. However, in 2021, I'm so used to it now and used to the fact that I can't go, that every time trips have got cancelled, it's not as upsetting. Not because I don't want to go, because I really, really do, of course, but just because I'm more used to it now, and I'm just used to not being able to go to Florida. So I'd be very, very excited and very, very happy when I can go, but I'm handling it a lot better now than I was last year for sure. Next question, with all the changes, would you still recommend DVC to British people? This is a really hard one to answer because I do feel like DVC, it really depends on your personal circumstances, your family, how often you like to go, where you like to stay, and all of that kind of stuff as to whether or not it's worth it. It's like a very personal thing. For anyone who knows they're going to always want to go to Disney on their vacations, then DVC is great because long term it's going to be good value for you, and you can stay in the deluxe category of resort and all of that kind of thing. It's never something I would recommend jumping into. I think you really need to do your research, do the DVC tour while you're out there. Yeah, really kind of decide if it's worth it for you, because it is a lot of money, and I don't think the changes like, you know, the Magical Express going away and extra magic hours and stuff, I don't think I would let any of that affect whether or not I would recommend it, but it's really just making sure it's right for you and your personal situation, I guess. What advice would you give someone traveling solo? I'm assuming you mean to Disney World, but in general, when you're traveling solo, I think the main thing is to just be open to kind of chatting to people, while also always being aware of your safety and just only ever doing things and going to places that you're comfortable with and you feel comfortable walking around. I go solo to Disney World quite a lot because I feel totally comfortable there. There are places that I maybe wouldn't travel solo, especially if it was my first time going there, just because I wouldn't necessarily feel comfortable walking around by myself if I don't know the area or the place that I'm in. But at Disney World, safety just doesn't feel like any kind of issue if you're traveling solo, and lots of other guests are always happy to chat when you're waiting in line, if you're waiting for like in a waiting area for your table in a restaurant or something like that. If you are eating on your own and you're going to go to table service restaurants, maybe take a book with you or have the Kindle app on your phone or whatever, just so you've got something to kind of keep you occupied if you do have some moments where you're just feeling a bit like lonely or conspicuous or whatever. I mean, I never do. I always feel totally fine about dining by myself, but I know some people don't. So yeah, maybe just always have something with you to do, just in case you have those periods of time where you do just want to kind of pass some time, you're not speaking to anybody, but also, you know, try and have little chats with people, because it's always fun on solo trips having little chats with other guests, I always find. What's the one thing that you have missed most about Disney World? There are so many different things. Obviously, I've really missed the actual attractions themselves. I've missed dining at Disney snacks, you know, the resorts and all that kind of stuff. But mostly I've just missed how I feel when I'm there. It is totally my happy place. It's been such a difficult couple of years for everybody, and myself also on a personal level. And whenever I am having any kind of difficult time or anything, Disney is always the place that I want to be, because it makes me feel better, and just not having that feeling has been the hardest thing about it, definitely, for me. Future Disney plans when allowed, such as Tokyo again, etc. I'm definitely planning to go to Tokyo Disney again. Obviously my brother lives in South Korea, so that is a really convenient time for me to go and do Tokyo Disney as well. So at some stage I'll definitely be doing that. 100% I want to go to California at some point. I don't know if that will be next year or perhaps the year after, but definitely I want to do that. And Disneyland Paris, of course, is coming up soon. We'll be doing that in November. And Disney World, obviously. We've got a trip booked for January. That's Kate and myself, and fingers crossed we'll be able to do that. But if not, we will obviously just continue to keep moving it until we're able to travel. Next question is, was the cruise worth the money, and did you miss not getting off in certain places? So for me, I'd never done a cruise before, so I didn't miss that element of it because I've never done one. I think if I had, then quite possibly I would have missed that. But I absolutely loved the cruise, and for me it was 100% worth the money, because I just needed a Disney trip of some description, any Disney trip. So for me, having that feeling of the kind of Disney bubble again, and the Disney kind of experience, how great the cast members are and the service and just everything about it, it was worth it 100% for me, because I didn't have any other trips that I could have done. So yes, it was definitely worth it, and no, I didn't miss not stopping off because I'd never done one before. What ride are you most excited to ride when you can get back to Florida? In terms of rides, it's gonna have to be Flight of Passage, because it's just my favorite. I love the feeling of being on that ride. It's just incredible. Of course, I'm excited for Rise of the Resistance, because I've still only done it once on opening day. We rode it at, I think it was about 5 o'clock in the morning on opening day, and that's the only time I've managed to do it since. I couldn't get a boarding group last time, so I'm very excited for that as well. And of course the Haunted Mansion. I know I just mentioned 3, I'm sorry, it was supposed to be 1. But Flight of Passage probably the most, I think. Would you consider going back to Disneyland Paris just as going to the US parks at the moment isn't viable? Yes, I am going to Disneyland Paris, as I just mentioned. We'll be doing that first week of November. So Kate and I are going to be going to Paris. I cannot wait. I've only done it once before, so it'd be great to have a second series of vlogs at Disneyland Paris. Kate hasn't been, I think, for years. She went once, I think, maybe when she was a teenager or something, I can't remember, but she's not been for a really long time, so we're super excited for that. Where is your favourite place to sit with a coffee and watch the world go by at Walt Disney World? My favourite place, I mean, there are so many places because I'm so obsessed with sitting, drinking coffee, watching the world go by at Disney World. But my favourite place to do that is the tables just outside Plaza Restaurant in the Magic Kingdom. I like to sit there, you can see the castle, just the whole view of like the hub area, and it's just amazing. I love it. Next question is top tips on managing the parks with TM, diagnosed last year, and then with MS. So yes, I do have TM, which is a neurological condition which affects your mobility basically. And for me, the top tip I have is just taking breaks. You must take breaks. If you try and overdo it, it really will, especially at the beginning of the trip. It's bad enough if you have like absolutely no medical issues whatsoever, and if you do that you can then feel so tired for the next, like, or the rest of the trip, but certainly for the next few days. But if you do have something like TM, if you exhaust yourself at the beginning, it's going to be hard to come back from that, and then every day when you go out you're only going to be able to go for a few hours and then you'll feel really tired. So just take it easy. Take a lot of breaks, have a sit down, have a coffee. It might feel sometimes like other people around you are rushing to attractions and rushing here and rushing there, but I can assure you that if you do try and do that, I know it's probably difficult to do that, but even if you try to, it really will exhaust you a lot quicker. So just take a lot of breaks. And if you need to, you can always speak to guest services about the disability access service. I actually don't use that anymore. I did when I was first diagnosed with TM. I think maybe for a couple of the trips that I did feel I needed it back then. Now I've recovered a little bit more, I don't, but you know, that's obviously down to every individual. If you feel you need it, that's something that you can speak to guest services about. First thing / place you'll eat when you get back to Disney World. Oh my goodness, okay. Given that I'll be going to Starbucks to sit there and watch the world go by, most likely the first thing I'll eat is some kind of like breakfasty thing from there. Maybe the lemon cake. I love the lemon cake in Starbucks in the US. So perhaps that, which is not kind of an iconic Disney snack or anything, but realistically that is most likely what I'll have. And the first place that I'll eat, because I don't really count Starbucks because that's just kind of grabbing it and taking it away. The first place that I'll actually maybe sit down to eat in the parks, I would imagine might be Plaza Restaurant actually in the Magic Kingdom, because I'll be doing that my first day and I love the Plaza Restaurants. So yeah, probably there. Next question, would you cruise again? Yes, I already covered that one. Definitely I would. And I just wanted to mention, I might not answer every single individual question because I got a lot of questions that were really similar. So I might have kind of answered your question in a different question. So if I don't answer every single one, that's why. When you do Universal, I've noticed you don't stay until the evening. Is that on purpose? Not really. Whenever I do Universal, I usually do try and get up and out in the morning and kind of get over there as soon as I can. And by the time it gets to evening, I just usually have done everything that I want to do for the day, or I'm leaving to go and eat at one of the restaurants like Toothsome Chocolate Emporium or Cowfish, or one of my favourites, or maybe going on to do some shopping somewhere or something. So it's not necessarily a deliberate thing. I just usually am done by then, but I do really want to be in Diagon Alley at night time because I don't think I've actually done that before, so I feel like it might be a different kind of vibe. So definitely I'll try and stay till it gets dark next time so I can experience that. How have you been getting your Disney fixes during the pandemic? It's not been very easy with the answer to this one. Mostly I've been getting my Disney fix through watching other people's vlogs, so people who are local to the parks and can obviously get there more regularly. The problem is with it, as the time has worn on, I've actually found that more and more difficult. So in the early days of the pandemic, I just couldn't get enough of watching it. Now, the longer it's gone on and the fact that I still can't go, I find it harder to watch almost. so I don't watch as many now. And I think because I've just kind of come to terms with the fact that I can't go at the moment, and that's okay. I just feel like that's okay at the moment. Of course I want to more than anything, but I just feel a lot more okay about it than I did. But back when Disney World closed for, I think it was a few months, wasn't it, when they reopened in the summer of 2020, I mostly watched Resort TV 1 because they were there, like, I think they were there for the cast member, like first opening day. I watched all of that, like everything. But now I have slowed down a little bit on watching them just because I was so desperate to go back and I find it hard to watch. And of course the cruise as well was another way for me to get my Disney fix, because that was a little Disney trip, and Disneyland Paris will also be another way. So fingers crossed for next year for Disney World. The next one, happiest memory in Disney. Loving the cruise vlogs, by the way. Thank you. I'm glad you are enjoying them. My happiest memory has to be my friends getting engaged in the Magic Kingdom. They also went on to have their wedding at the Grand Floridian a few years later. That was also incredible, but them getting engaged on Main Street, and obviously I knew it was going to happen, that just has to be one of the best memories I have. And also when we did Rise of the Resistance on opening day, the whole thing was just so crazy. Again, I'll put up a card and I will link the vlog to that in the description if you didn't see it. We got there in the middle of the night, the day before it opened. To be among the first people there, it was just absolutely crazy, but it was a really good memory as well. I was so glad we were there for that. Would you rather a character retheme to the TTA or the Haunted Mansion? I would rather neither. I really hope they don't do that. If they absolutely had to do something like that, if they could incorporate maybe one of the villain kind of characters in a way that could be suitable with the Haunted Mansion, I may be able to live with that, but I still don't like the idea of that. And as for characters somehow being incorporated in the TTA, no, I don't feel good about that at all. No. Some things don't need a character retheme. I'm already kind of upset enough about the character retheming to the rooms at some of the resorts. There's nothing majorly wrong with it, but for example, the rooms at the Contemporary have been rethemed to the Incredibles, and for me, I would rather they didn't do that. I think they looked better before. That's my personal opinion. I know other people may not agree, but I don't think that the rooms at the deluxe resorts need to be rethemed with characters, and there are certain attractions that I also don't think need to be rethemed with characters, and both of those are in that category. We are travelling to Disneyland Paris in October. When's your favourite season to visit Disney? I think I already touched on this one. That would be September is my favourite actual time to go, and I also really love May as well because I love the Flower and Garden Festival over in Epcot. Can you do all the parks but still be on iDrive? I want to do it all but worried about distance. So actually my first probably 4 or 5 visits to Disney World, which would have been way back like 2002, 2004, 2005, ages ago, I always used to stay on iDrive and still did all the parks. For Universal, you of course are really close anyway on iDrive, so that's no distance at all. For Disney, obviously you're a little bit further away, but Uber really isn't too expensive, so you can definitely do everything from International Drive without question. For me, if I'm staying off-site, I tend to stay at Lake Buena Vista, which is right next to Disney. So you have quite a few hotels along Hotel Plaza Boulevard, which is right by Disney Springs, and then I just take my Ubers over to Universal because I do a lot less days at Universal than I do at Disney. So for me, if I am wanting to stay off-site, I would prefer to be closer to Disney just because I do more days there. But it can definitely be done for sure from iDrive. Next question, are you flying when you go to Disneyland Paris? Yes, we are. We've looked into the different options, and Eurostar at the moment don't have as many services operating and stuff, probably due to the pandemic I would imagine, and you have to go indirect. So yes, we will be flying when we go to Paris. Next question is, will you ever do a girls trip with Kate, Lisa and Becky to Disney World? Do they all know each other? I think it'll be fun. So yes, they do all know each other. I would love to do that. I would absolutely love for all of us to go. I was hoping that could be possible for Paris, but even for Paris, it's only going to be like maybe 3 nights that we're going. It's hard to even get everybody at the same time. You know, people have to get leave from work or they've got plans and got things happening. So for Disney World, it's always even worse because it's a longer trip. So getting everybody to be able to go at the same time is difficult. But yes, I'm really hoping that can happen. I think that would be so amazing in the vlogs to have all of us. Let me know in the comments if that's something that you would like to see, because yeah, I really do think that would be amazing. What hotel do you recommend for Disneyland Paris? So this is an area where I feel quite inexperienced experienced. I've only been to Disneyland Paris once. Becky and I stayed at Hotel Cheyenne. We did go across to, what is it called? It's escaping me. Sequoia Lodge, that's it. We went across to hang out there for a while, so although I haven't stayed there, I did visit the hotel. The one we're going to be staying in November is Newport Bay, and that one looks really nice. So maybe in the comments I'll ask other people to put their recommendations. So anyone who's been to Disneyland Paris multiple times and stayed at different hotels, which one would you recommend? Sequoia Lodge is probably the one that I would say. That's where I was hoping to stay, but it's not going to be open when we go. I don't think it reopens till December, which is why we're going for Newport Bay. But I do love Sequoia Lodge. When we just went to visit, it looked really nice. Next one is, what's the most expensive meal you've had at Disney? Oh, probably California Grill, I think. We've done a few of the signature restaurants, but California Grill is usually where I'd go for a celebration, like if it's someone's birthday or a big occasion or something. And we've done a few meals there like that. And when you do that, you tend to order more alcohol and wine and stuff if it's a celebration. So we have had some fairly pricey dinners at California Grill, so that's probably the most expensive. What would be your top 5 things to do in Disney World during the Christmas period? Okay, so number 1 would be, well, depending what's happening in the Magic Kingdom, either Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, which of course at the moment is not happening, but they have the after hours event instead. So whatever kind of after hours thing they have at Magic Kingdom would be one of them. Next would be going to the holiday festival at Epcot. So of course they always have Flower Garden, Food of Wine, and they have the, I think it's called, is it Festival of the Holiday? What is it called? Oh my goodness, I've forgotten. The Christmas Holiday Festival in Epcot anyway, where they have different food booths and they have the storytellers and stuff. So that would be another one. Another would be visiting the resorts and looking at their Christmas decorations. The Christmas decorations in the Disney hotels, they're so nice, and it's just a really, really good thing to do resort hopping and just looking at all the amazing Christmas trees. Grand Floridian is a great one. They have a huge Christmas tree. They have the gingerbread house usually, and that's really amazing to see. So that would be another one. Also going to Hollywood Studios, they do have some really great holiday snacks there. They tend to have like a handful of different ones in different locations, and you can just kind of go to the different locations and try them all out because they do normally have some good stuff there. And the final thing I think would be going to World of Disney at Disney Springs and just looking at all the Christmas merch, because that's the biggest store in all of Disney World, I think, is World of Disney. They've got so much stuff in there, and at Christmas especially, it's just really nice being able to see all of it in one place. So those are probably my top 5 things to do. What is your favourite Disney snack? Oh, there's so many. There are so many. I think it would have to be Dole Whip though. I know that's a bit of a popular answer, but I really, really do love a Dole Whip float specifically. What are your must-have souvenirs? For me, my must-have souvenirs are pins. I love collecting Disney pins. I love a Disney mug. No one quite as much as Becky, but I also do love a Disney mug, so that would be another one. And also I do like to get a Pandora charm usually. I've got one of the bracelets, and I love to get the charms actually from Disney because they just mean a little bit more if I bought them on my trip. So those are probably my favourite things. What are you looking forward to doing on your Disneyland Paris trip? Are you going to be doing any pre-booked sit-down meals? So we haven't actually thought about that yet in terms of dining. I think we probably will do some pre-booked stuff this time. We didn't last time, and a few times we were sort of not sure where to go to eat and stuff. So for the evenings, I think we will think about actually where we're going to go rather than just winging it like last time. And the thing I'm looking forward to the most, I think actually is going to be going to Walt Disney Studios, to the little Paris section and riding Ratatouille, because I feel sad that I'm not going to get to do that at Epcot. I was really looking forward to riding the Ratatouille ride there. So I think being able to do it in Paris will just make up for that a little bit that I can't be at Disney World. And I'm also very much looking forward to riding Crush's Coaster, because we didn't get to do that last time. It was closed for refurb. So those are probably the 2 things I'm looking forward to the most. What is your favourite Joffrey's blend? That's a really good question. My favourite flavoured Joffrey's blend I think is probably the Cocoa Cookie Oats one. I really love that. I do love the Biscoffy one as well, but probably Cocoa Cookie Oats I think is my absolute favourite. And in terms of the Disney ones, which are like the non-flavoured ones but just like the different Disney blends, I think it would have to be the Kona blend and also the Alani one, which is also made from Kona beans. So those 2 I think would be my favourite of the non flavoured ones. So that is going to be it for part 1 of the Q&A. The next part will be up next weekend. I just had so many questions. This video would be extremely long if I put it all in one. So thank you for watching this first part. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified when I upload videos, because I will be putting up part 2 next week. So if you haven't already done that, make sure you subscribe. Thank you so much for all the love over on the cruise vlogs. Those have been going up. The whole lot is up now, and there's a playlist, so I will put that below. I've had so many nice comments and likes and everything over there, so I'm really glad you guys have been enjoying those. As always, I just want to say a huge thank you to all of you for watching my videos, my older vlogs throughout the last 18 months. So many of you have been rewatching all of the older vlog series. I will link in the description the playlist to every single Disney vlog. I've got a playlist of the whole lot, all of the series that I've done, but thank you so much for sticking around and always watching all of the old ones back until I have some new ones for you. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.